Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Ari, and the 48-hour Bookopoly-thon is starting now, or it's about to start. It looks like it just started. I've got the live streams up over here, which I'm gonna mute because I can hear it coming through my headphones. Starting right on time. It is 6 p.m. on Friday the 20th here, which means it's midnight in the UK. So that's why I'm starting at such like a really random time. There was 2 pre-announced roles and I've got books for both of them. I should be able to finish both of them in the first like 12-hour period. The next roles will be announced at 6 a.m. I will be asleep when they're announced, but the first 2 that we have is a book under 300 pages, which I have A People's History of Heaven for. This was on my Dungeons & Books TBR and I need to get it done, so perfect for that. And then the other one I have is a graphic novel that I have from Kindle Unlimited called The Something and the Divine. The Wicked and the Divine, and that is, the prompt for that is gods. So this one's about gods. It made the most sense, right? So I'm gonna start reading. Anyway, I will see you when I finish one of these books. So it's the next morning. I didn't talk to you last night, but I did finish both of the books. First up, let's talk about A People's History of Heaven. This isn't nearly as religious as I thought it was going to be, and it was actually pretty good. Heaven is the name of a slum in Bangalore, India. It's technically called something else, but the sign broke in half, and it's just now heaven, or whatever that word is would be translated into heaven in English, if that makes sense. So it's about 5 girls who live in this slum, and it's kind of like a coming of age story, and it's mostly like the modern set story that they have where the slum is scheduled to be destroyed and the bulldozers show up about a month early. And so the women of the slum are protesting and standing in front of the bulldozers so they can't, be destroyed their houses. But that's like a very, very small part of this. Most of this is like scenes from modern day, like flashbacks with like backstories of all of the girls and women in the slum. Because the thing with this slum is it's mostly women whose husbands have like left them or abandoned them, and it's the women trying to raise their children as best they can with no money, and it's very hard to make money. And yeah, that's pretty much what this is. It's a very interesting look on like a misogynistic culture that is growing away from the misogyny of women are useless except for as wives, or women don't need an education. Like the mothers dealt with that entirely, and the girls kind of deal with that, but all of the mothers want their girls to get an education. So very interesting. I liked it a lot. If it sounds interesting to you, I do recommend it. There is like tiny bits of religion, but the focus of this story is definitely not religion. I also read the comic The Wicked, the Divine. I don't know how to handle that plus sign. Is it the Wicked plus the Divine? Is it the Wicked and the Divine? The Wicked, the Divine? I'm just gonna call it The Wicked, the Divine. This is a very interesting story. Every 100 years, gods manifest into avatars, and it's gods in the way that we think of gods. So you've got like Lucifer and Baphomet, Baal, just all different types of religions. Some of them, I think 12 is what it said, will manifest into gods, and it's different gods every single time. They take over the bodies of existing humans, and those gods in people live for 2 years and they die. but at least this go around, the gods become like super famous pop stars before they die. And in this one, we're following a fan, like a fangirl of the gods, and she becomes friends with Lucy, or Lucifer, and kind of hangs out and does stuff. And there's, you know, a plot that I'm not going to spoil because it's a very short comic, but I really enjoyed this. I'm definitely looking forward to throwing this series into my series jar and continuing on with it. Highly recommend if you like the idea of like a superhero comic, because that's what this feels like. Even though they're technically gods, they got superpowers. Now, the next two rolls happened about 6 a.m. my time when I was sound asleep, but we're gonna talk about them now. The first roll was very, very easy for me. It's an ebook or an audiobook, so I read a lot of those, but I am currently already in the middle of, actually way towards the end of, an audiobook, and I'm just going to plug that into that prompt and then finish it off today, or at least make it a priority to finish it off today, and that is Seasonal Fears by Shauna Maguire. This is the companion novel to Middle Game, and is one of my arcs, and it's why my arc video hasn't gone up yet. So I need to finish this, even though the audiobook is very, very long, but I think I could definitely finish it. The other prompt was not something I had planned for. I bought a bunch of short books, and I picked up a bunch of graphic novels going, I could fill pretty much most of the prompts on the board with this, and this is a prompt that I cannot fill with anything that I have recently purchased, and that is a color in the title. So just a color in the title of the book. That's it. I have 2 books on my physical TBR. I didn't look through my ebooks or anything like that. I just looked through my physical TBR. 2 books on my physical TBR that fit this prompt, and it's the same color in both of them, which is red. I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and I have The Red Tree by Caitlin Kiernan. So I bought this because I've heard nothing but great things about the series, but everybody says the first book's like the worst book in the series, and this one I bought for like a project probably like a year and a half ago, and I never did it. So I browsed through these. They're about the same length. They're about 400 pages for both of them, so they're not like super short. Can I read both of them in like 6.5 hours? Probably more like 5.5 once I finish the audiobook. I don't know, but I am going to go with this one because this has got some like mixed media elements in it, where there's like letters and just different elements in it. So I'm gonna go with this one. The font also looks bigger in this one. Hopefully it's good and I can stay interested enough to get into it, but I will be doing sprints, so I'm like requiring myself to focus for periods of time. So I have finished Seasonal Fears, which was my audiobook. I'm not really going to talk about it here because it's one of my arcs, so I'll talk about it a lot in my arc vlog. In the end, it was fine. Didn't love it, didn't hate it, whatever. Now I am in Mel's sprints, so this is the first sprint on her channel, and I am reading The Red Tree. I've got about a little under 4 hours to finish it. I don't think I'm gonna finish it. And then we'll see. What I'll probably do is get as far as I can in the next 4 hours in this book, and then switch to something for the next prompt. I will see if maybe I can stick 2 graphic novels in the next prompt and then spend some more time reading this. All right, hello. I took a shower during the last round of sprints, so my hair's wet. Please ignore it. But we have had the next set of roll drops. First off, let's talk about this, The Red Tree. I'm still reading it. I'm using a tab as a placeholder, but I've got about 140 pages left, but we're going to put this to the side and then I'm going to try to read the books for the other prompts first. So, 2 new prompts. The first one we got was spooky, and to be fair, this would fit that prompt, but I am trying to read 8 books. So I can make this for that prompt if I wanted to, because this is horror, but we're going to read something else, and we're going to read some manga, and I've got Rumania by Junji Ito. So horror, manga, spooky. This shouldn't take me very long, which is why I picked it. The other prompt, which I wanted to do 2 mangas, or 2 graphic novels, this one, not gonna happen, but the other prompt was young adult. But YA usually reads really fast, so I'm gonna throw in Imposters by Scott Westerfeld. Neither one of these books were books that I wanted to read during Bookopolython that were like on my TBR. Of course not. Hello, it's like 11 p.m. I just finished Imposters by Scott Westerfeld. This took me longer than I expected it to read, but that's okay. I got it. I didn't realize this, but this takes place in the Uglies universe, and the reason I picked this up is because I really liked his Uglies series. This straight up isn't as good. Like, I love the Uglies story, and I think that might be nostalgia, but this isn't as good. I still want to, like, read the rest of the series, but I don't love it like I love the Uglies. This happens years and years and years after the events of Uglies. Tally Youngblood's assumingly still alive. Like, realistically, she could be alive if anybody had ever heard from her, if that makes sense at all. But she's not really in this. This follows 2 twin sisters who are named Frey and Raffi. They are the twin daughters of like a despotic ruler, and as far as the country knows, he only has 1 daughter, who is Raffi, and then Frey is her body double and bodyguard. So anytime Raffi goes into like a dangerous situation in public, it's really just Frey. And that's kind of like the start of the whole story. It's okay. Again, there's a romance in here that's just way too insta-love for me, but it is YA. Anyway, it was fine. I'm going to continue with the series. Nothing special, like 3 stars. So like I said, it is 11 p.m. so I want to get this finished and this finished. So I only have like 140 pages of this, and then this is a graphic novel. So this should take about 15 to 30 minutes to read. And then I can jump in on this. Right now, what is her name? Right now, Rai is doing her sprints. I'm not really watching them, I'm just reading, but it is up in the background for me, with the sound muted. So, yeah, they're there if I need them, but I haven't really been stopping in all the sprint breaks or anything. I've just been like straight reading through. So, I will read this and come back and tell you what I think. Hello, the lighting's bad, but it's 12:30 a.m. and I finished Rumina. So basically what this is scientists in Japan has discovered a black hole, and then a planet comes through the black hole, and he names it after his daughter Rumina. And then it turns out the planet is heading straight for Earth, and it's hungry, and it's eating planets and stars along the way. This was very weird. The science aspect of this book is totally bizarre and just unbelievable. Like, it doesn't make any sense if you know even a little bit about science. I don't know how to explain this. But yeah, if you want a book where what happens, the physics of things that happen are even remotely possible, don't read this book. Because the physics in this are just bizarre. The story was weird. Yeah, that's the best way I could describe it. I think I think the story in here might be a cultural thing, because it didn't really make sense to me, but I've seen similar things done in stories from Japan. So I think a lot of this is cultural, and it's just not my culture, which is fine. It's just not my culture. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give this a 3-star. I didn't hate anything about it, but I also thought it was really absurd. Okay, so I made it about till 2:30 before I just fell asleep and couldn't read anymore, and I did not finish The Red Tree. But what I did is when I woke up this morning, I spent this morning finishing this before pulling books for the last 2 prompts. So I have finished this. I'm gonna give this 5 stars. This is great. This is one of those examples where the cover does not fit the book at all. This cover is awful. This looks like paranormal romance or something like that. That's not what this is. This is like weird, unlikable female characters, which is exactly what I love. This is written in a very unique-ish way. I mean, I've seen it done something similar before, which I'll mention in a minute, but basically this is about a novelist named Sarah. Sarah's from Atlanta, Georgia, but her girlfriend committed suicide, and then so Sarah kind of like moves to Rhode Island to write, supposedly. She's got a manuscript due. She's way past due on it, and she moves to Rhode Island to write. And then we know that while she's in Rhode Island, she herself commits suicide. And what this novel is like journal entries that she had written while in Rhode Island, and her editor has, you know, put it together and published this as her final novel. So this leaves to reader this to wonder, was these her actual experiences and she was just keeping a journal that got published as a novel because it's so bizarre, or was she actually writing a novel that she made seem look like a journal? Now, all of this is fake because Catherine Kiernan is not Sarah. So this is a novel, but it was made to look like journal entries from a woman named Sarah. That's very confusing. What this really reminds me of a lot is House of Leaves. So if you liked House of Leaves but didn't like the confusingness of it, where you had to like turn pages upside down and there was like 2 stories going on at the same time on the same page, but you really liked that bizarre general feel of House of Leaves, I would definitely recommend this book, because it's written just standard novel, but it's very similar to the bizarre things that happen in House of Leaves. So very much enjoy this. 5 stars. Let's get to the last 2 prompts. First prompt is water on the cover. Fortunately, one of the books that I need to read this month that I wanted to read during this readathon does have water on the cover, and that is Monstrous Volume 2. If you can see over here, there are waves. So, and it's a graphic novel, so super short. It is a little after noon, so I only have about 6 hours to read 2 books. So, graphic novel to start out with. The second book's gonna be a surprise because the prompt is a social media scroll. So you scroll on Instagram, Goodreads, whatever, until you come up with a book to read. Oh no. Okay, so I am going to go to Goodreads because Instagram I don't use very much. So we're gonna go to Goodreads. I'm going to screen record this. And then we're gonna see if there's anything on here. Or we're gonna see what the first book that I come up with that I haven't read. Okay, so Before the Coffee Gets Cold I've read. Violent Delights I've read. It's the same book. Vanishing Half I've read. My Hero Academia I've read. Girl Serpent Thorn I've read. Uh-oh. The Wicked and Divine I literally just read earlier for this. So it says one to read, I just haven't done my Goodreads review. Daughter of the Moon Goddess I've read. Devil in the Dark Water. I'm going to skip Devil in the Dark Water because I know that is a insanely long book and there's no way I'm gonna get it done. For the Throne, it's not out yet. It doesn't come out till next month. Siren Crane I've read, so I'm not sure why it says I want to read it because I have read it. I read it earlier this month. Piranesi I've read. Rebecca I've DNF'd. The Honeymooners I've read. We've already gone over The Wicked and Divine. Mistborn I've read. Oh no. Claire and the Sun I've read. They Never Learn. Okay, this is a good possibility. So, this is like a thriller. Okay, I think we're gonna go with this one. Let's see how many pages it is. 378 pages. Could probably do it. I'm gonna have to pick up like an ebook of this, but They Never Learn is what we're going to read. Okay, it's just after 2 p.m. I've completed Monstrous Volume 2 and taken the dog out for a walk. So these are kind of hard to describe because it's such like a complicated universe, but it's such short form in comics that I feel like anything I'm going to say is spoilery. But basically the plot of this book is our main character here is trying to retrace her mother's steps to help solve a problem that she has that I'm not going to say because it's a spoiler. And she goes to this island. And that's pretty much it. So that's why there's water on the covers, because there's a sea voyage, she goes to an island, stuff like that. It's good. I like it. I recommend Monstrous. It's kind of graphically gross and speaks a lot about like the horrors of war. But I very much enjoyed it. So done with this. Going to do I'm gonna read They Never Learn. There's no way I'm getting this done in time for the end of this readathon because it's like a 400-page book and I only have like 4 hours, and 100 pages an hour is a lot even for me. So it'll be a couple hours past once I get done, but we'll see how far I can get. Hello, it's like 5:30. I'm out on my balcony because my boyfriend's playing video games with his friend really loud. And hopefully none of my neighbors are gonna wonder what the F I'm doing. But I did finish They Never Learn. Very good. This is a thriller. It's not really a mystery thriller because there's not like the mystery of who the killer is. We know like right from the beginning because one of the perspectives is from the killer. But there is like twist that you get, like plot reveals and fun twists that you get with regular thrillers. So basically we follow two characters. One is Scarlet, and she's a professor, an English professor at this college. She's also a serial killer, and she kills scummy rapist men. So maybe football players, jocks who sexually assault women at parties and get away with it because they're jocks, or professors at the college who take advantage of their students, things like that. And the other character we follow is Carly, I think is her name, but she is a freshman at the same college, and all we really know about her from the beginning is that her father is abusive. But you can kind of predict based off of the type of people that Scarlet kills the events that will happen to Carly throughout the book. Twists are good. I definitely like this. This is the kind of thriller I liked. I need to stay away from domestic thrillers. That's my problem, is I don't care about relationships. Husband and wife thrillers, I don't care. But this kind of thriller, very, very much liked. I give it 4 stars. I like the plot twist. The ending was a little but it was kind of fun. I liked it. Anyway, that's everything. I got through 8 books in 48 hours. Yay me. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below if you participated in Bookopoly-thon, how many books you've read. If you didn't participate but you've read some of the books that I read, tell me what you think, or what you would have used to fill the prompts. And if you don't really have anything other than that, give me a knife emoji for our lovely serial killer that we read at the end down in the comments. Anyway, I'll see you for the next video. Bye.